king, I am not a god, I am Hump.
What's good, Tano, and welcome. Today's video is about Atlas build for level 1 to 9,999 steel path enemies in Warframe, or known as level cap, builds that scale or go home. Why we updating the build? Because after the update, Necroton Korra, the Exalted weapons received a rework and Atlas is included. First thing first, let me show you the performance of the build at level cap. And that's what I'm talking about. Don't forget to smash the like and smash the subscribe button. Much appreciated for your support. As always, before I build any weapon or any Warframe, I rely on my method called DVS. D stands for how I'll be dealing damage, what elements I'll be using, and what's the faction I'll be fighting. And that will help you build your weapons and Warframes in the future. V stands for how I proc 10 stacks of viral to make enemies vulnerable by 325% more damage to their HP, and every enemy in this game has HP. S stands for stripping enemies armor. We don't care about armor, we care about the damage reduction that comes with armor, and by lowering the armor, we lower the damage reduction, so we deal higher damage. Now, of course, if you don't like my methods on how I proc viral and armor strip enemies, it's okay. You can check the sheet right here I prepared for you. You can just screenshot it. And so you can try different methods. As in Warframe, there is a lot of ways to do the same thing, but the results pretty much is the same. And remember, Tano, I take builds to level cap to make sure that they scale and your investment is in the right place, so it's not a show-off. And I highly recommend you watch this video to the T, because I will show a lot of tips and tricks that you don't want to miss, and you just skip to the build and you just copy and you say, oh no, it doesn't work. You need to understand how this build works and why we used every mode or arcane, and what the alternatives of helmet abilities, archon shards, and everything. And because I'm here to help and I'm here to try and improve the community quality, so I've seen a lot of Thanos lately being misled with maybe forums, maybe Reddit, maybe other content creators, I have no idea. So I created this Warframe community guidelines for comments, what to do, test the build before giving feedback. That's very important, because something you don't know, you can test feedback about it just because you think so. Share your own version of the build, including mods, arcanes, etc. So you don't go like, okay, I have a better one, but okay. Be specific with pros and cons where you test the build. Test it at level cap if possible and give a context. Ask a question or suggest improvement politely, and help others in replies, new players especially. What not to do? You say, this build sucks, or my build is just better with no explanation. Vague criticism like this is trash. Dismissing builds without trying them, being toxic or rude to others in the replies, gatekeeping or flexing without helping, that will not improve and will not help anybody. So let's improve the quality and improve the comment section in higher level, where only testing and actual gameplay and mod sharing and build sharing that will benefit everybody and contributes to the constructive criticism. And as always, we start with the kit of the Warframe, and Atlas has a lot of different stuff within his kit that you need to learn and how they synergize with each other. And I hope the developers of this game in the future, they give more details about the stuff. For example, the passive, become immune to knockdown effect while on the ground. Now, this is an amazing passive, and you can save yourself from using primate sure-footed, but remember, your feet should be on the ground. Like bullet jumping in the air and acting like a butterfly, you pretty much will get knocked down and pretty much dead if you don't react in the right way. And the thing is that this passive, not only that, it has more to it. So for example, a knockdown immunity does not apply while on air, that's what I just said, does not apply pushback effect, does not prevent the recoiling effect from firing power arc guns, corvus evictus, and large spur and non-arcing missions. This should be mentioned in the game for players to understand fully what this passive is about. Also, it got a passive, and you can see it's really crazy. In short, what is this? Like, you can collect, let's say, the pieces rumbled pieces from a stoned enemies that you stone them with the third ability, okay? And when you collect that, you make like a stacks of armor. And also when you use the augment called the rubble heap, when you reach 1400 rubble, which is the stones you'll be collecting from the ground from killing stoned enemies, landslide costs no energy, deals 2 time damage, and travels 2 times faster. Now, at low level, it is really good. At high level, it's really good, but you need to pay attention to your rubbles. Honestly, I've tested this, and even at level cap, you'll be very busy handling everything that's coming around and paying attention to the enemies and stuff like that. You don't really pay attention on picking up rubble heap. So I would say depends on the amount of focus and stress you want to, let's say, invent in your game session to use rubble heap or not. For me, it's really an amazing augment. I love it. Low to mid game, easy to use. At the end game, requires extra focus. Atlas' first ability, Landslide, and this is the one that received a rework and it became Exalted weapon called the Exalted Fists. Now, you bash the enemies with an explosive sliding punch, repeat up to 3 times for a combo attack. Each hit in the 3-punch combo increases the radius of the attack. Energy cost is reduced with each hit of Landslide. Install mods on the Landslide feats to boost these stats. Now, it's really amazing, really powerful, and it even makes you invulnerable. But if you can't cast it, you're pretty much dead. Because you try to keep your passive up, means you're always in the ground. Also, you try to fist enemies very fast to keep that punching combos. And also, there is a combo multiplier you want to keep. So, having no energy and this ability, you trying to spam it, there comes a lot of issues, and that will be explained later on. It got an augment called the Path of Statue Slide Augment. Leave a trail for 12 seconds that petrifies enemies for 6 seconds. Petrify enemies means you freeze them, so when you slap them, they crash, and you collect those rumbles to contribute to your 1400 stacks, capped I think at 1500. So, this is an amazing augment. It's not bad at all, but honestly, I don't like it because, you know, you're not gonna keep looking behind in a trail. It doesn't work like that. I find it's useless for me, but of course you can take it, experiment with it, and let me know in the comment section below. Tectonics. Summon a bulwark rock wall. That's exactly what it does. Activate again to send the rock rushing towards the enemy. Bulwark attacks by enemy release an area of effect / powered by the health if it has lost. Now, it's really nice, not bad. It's like you can enjoy and play with it in the low game, but in the mid to end game, it's really useless and you don't need it. It got a nice augmenter for defense objects, for example. Create up to 3 walls with 100% health. Walls can no longer be turned into boulders, means you cannot roll them. So, for example, let's say the defense objective is here. You create wall here, wall here, wall here. It becomes pretty much Fortnite, and I don't like to use this ability. And this is the ability you want to replace for a helmet. Now, the Petrify, and this is almost, if not the most important ability after Landslide. Atlas hardens gaze of the fossilized foe, increasing the damage they take. Heal rumbles and create petrified bulwarks. When shattered petrified enemies drop healing rubble for Atlas. So the rubbles actually that you pick from the ground doesn't give you only armor, they actually also heal you. So petrify means you freeze those enemies, mean you create, you made them like stone, right? Like you stone, not freeze them like cold, but freeze them, make them a stone, okay? And then you crush them, they drop the let's say the rubbles, you collect those stuff, and you'll be good to go. And when you hit this ability, you can heal your summons, which is the rumbles. We're gonna get to that in a second. So Petrify got Aura Gaze. Petrified enemies are scanned into the codex and have a 25% chance to drop additional loot when killed. This is an amazing augment when it comes to loot. If you're going to loot stuff, for example, you can use Aura Gaze. It's really amazing and you should try it. Okay, now Rumble is the summons. Summon 2 elemental stones brawlers to the melee. Summoning petrified enemies in close proximity to Atlas. When finished, rumbles collapse into a pile of healing rubble. So when you use them and they crash, they can actually, you collect the crushed stones and you can contribute to the armor and healing and so on and so on and so on. But really low to mid game, really nice, but at the end game, first thing first, they die very fast. Second, they cannot kill anything pretty much. Third, you're not gonna be looking at the ground. Rumbles! Hey! Rumbles! Can I cook my rumbles? I need my rumbles! That's not how it works. You'll be dead pretty much because you need to focus on your surroundings, what enemies are around you, Eximus Electrics, Eximus Jade. There is a lot of things that's happening. Or Thrax charging with his power on you. It's really crazy stuff. You got magnetic proc, slash proc, a lot of things to handle, and sometimes you get even toxin procs that will bypass your shields and pretty much you'll be dead. So you need to pay attention to the game, not collecting rumbles and taking care of these summons and healing them with Petrify. So that need to make a sense for you. Now we've got two augments. One, Titanic Rumbler, create a single numbler with 300% health and 400% damage. Even this guy, it sounds so good, but he's pretty much going to die and can't kill shit. Reactivating will cause him to slam the floor and knock enemies within 15 meters. Now that's good and it's very nice CC, but the fact that the ability costs a lot, 100 energy, you don't want to spam this, alright? You don't want to do that. Rumble the second augment. Atlas become a rumbler with rock armor that grants overguard and absorbs up to 300% of damage to max health. Low to mid game, this is amazing. If you go to, let's say, Void mode, or you're going to farm some Kuva in the Kuva Fortress, this is really good because it gives you the, let's say, overguard, and even if you bullet jump or whatever, when you have overguard on, you pretty much cannot get knocked down. Also, it absorbs some damage, but at level cap, you cannot absorb shit. They're gonna slap you and you're pretty much dead. There is no way around it. So, low to mid game, I highly recommend it. So from all his augments, the only augment I recommend for the end game, and even that, it still requires a lot of paying attention, which is the, not this one, hold on, not even that one, hold on, it doesn't show in the game. It is the augment of his passive, the Rubble Heap. That's the only one I would highly recommend for now. So how you play Atlas? Really simple. Stay in the ground so you don't get knocked down, petrify enemies, hit them with landslide, and collect the rumbles, and tectonics, you just like ignore pretty much. Summon your rumbles, heal them with petrify, and voila, keep hitting enemies with landslide, and pretty much that's all about Atlas. But there is way more than that. Now when it comes to building Atlas, there is a lot of ways you can go in here, but most channels, first thing they will think about the augments, what augments they're gonna be using. Now, the most common augments everyone uses is the Rumbled and the Rubble Heap, just mentioned that. Now, this augment is really amazing, really good, works pretty fine, so you got the overguard, you absorb damage, low to mid game, alright. And then what every channel will do, they're just gonna go strength, and they just throw as many strength they can out there, like so, and boom, now you have 298% strength. Then they figure out they have a low, let's say, for example, range, and what they do, they just like do like so, range, and then they get, for example, overextended in here, and now they say, oh, okay, we balanced range, we get lower strength, but still we're good, efficiency 45%, duration 73%, which is really bad, so now we need more duration, so we throw continuity, and now this pretty much is a perfect build. Now, this build, the way it looks right now, it may seem amazing, but my friend, I'm sad to tell you that it is not. Because with this build, you will deal a lot of damage, low-level enemies. For example, let's say with Landslide, you can kill, let's say, 300 enemies per minute or per 5 minutes. At level cap, you will not have the same kill rate, KPS, DPS, whatever you want to name it. And so, you will not have the same amount of energy drops. And so, this efficiency will play against you because with 45% efficiency, your Rumble costs 155. Your landslide will cost 38, and that's a lot because you'll be spamming this because this is the only way you can survive. And then you got Tectonic 77 and you got Petrify for 116. So pretty much if you use this, pretty much you finish all your energy, which is 215 as a base. You know what, 215, if you cast this one, you pretty much can cast only, so landslide and rumbles, and you finished your energy. So then Arcane Energize must be there, and then you're thinking about, for example, you're putting Nourish in here, and then you need a lot of things. And at level cap, I noticed that at level cap, enemies have a decrease of energy drops and health orbs and ammo after the update 1999. I don't know, this is a bug in the code, or DE did it on purpose for players who goes to level cap to make the game more challenging, or what's going on until there is a hotfix or DE in dev stream mention it. I don't know what to say about it, but I know this because I live pretty much on level cap. And because it's not about pushing as much strength, it's actually about balancing the power and the survivability, and that's how you create a build that goes to level cap, my friend. Okay, so forget about the nonsense, because this is all a show off, and it will actually deal a lot of damage on Simulacrum, and it will deal a lot of damage in low to mid game, but it will not scale, and it will take you nowhere. Only one reward you'll get from this build that I just showed right here is suffering and a very unpleasant experience as the enemies scale. So you need to know enemies from level 1 to level cap, they scale in EHP, means they get more health, more shield, and more overguard. And also they scale on damage, means they will deal higher damage. And even some enemies, I figured that they are actually getting extra fire rate. Like you'd say, Hank, from where you bring this? But I noticed that like some enemies receiving an increase of fire rate, and enemies receiving even high accuracy. So even your bullet jumping and running around, they take you down like a little bird. So I highly recommend when you're building, think about survivability and balance again. Now, when it comes to the topic of Primal Sure-Footed or what you want to use. Now, Primal Sure-Footed, there is nothing wrong using Primal Sure-Footed with Atlas, or you can use, for example, let's say, the hand spring. Hold on, let's do it here, or the hand spring if you don't have the Primal Sure-Footed. Now, the reason for that is based on the decision you will make. Are you going to stay in the ground all the time? Then yes, you don't need Primal Sure-Footed and you don't need hand spring. Now, if you plan on moving constantly on the air, like bullet jumping here and jumping there without rolling guard, that means there is a chance for you to get knocked down. And if your build is about, let's say, only shield gate and you can't gate when you're down, and there is a lot of enemies surrounding you at level cap or at high levels, pretty much you are dead. So Prime Sure-Footed can be in play. And don't worry, today's video is not about Prime Sure-Footed. Today's video, all the builds is about sitting on the ground. Okay. Then when it comes to Exilus, there is many Exilus mods I like, which is, for example, speed drift, increasing your speed and increasing your casting speed. Casting speed is very critical for Atlas, and the reason I'm saying this, and it's not just like I'm thinking, oh, this mod is good, this mod. No, I actually go with this builds two times to level cap solo, and I did go to level cap with a squad once. So this build itself, I did take it 3 times to level cap, and previously Atlas I took maybe 6 times or 5 times to level cap. So total maybe I did level cap Atlas like maybe around 10 times average. So I know exactly what I'm talking about when I give you an advice. So Exilus, I believe speed drift is really amazing if you can't afford Tau Forged casting speed charts, or you want to balance between one Tau Forged casting speed and just using a different Archon shard in the other spot. Power drift is really amazing as well, and you got not the canning drift, this one, yeah, the canning drift for ability range is really nice, as there is some stuff on his kit scales with range. For example, the punches from landslide, the AoE that it does and clears enemy for you. So now let's get to the real deal. And now let's start with the Archon shard, so everything makes sense step by step. So the most important Archon shard in here is the Umber Archon shard. Can be normal, can be Tau Forged, but I highly recommend Tau Forged. Casting speed will play a humongous role on your survivability with the first ability, because the first ability is actually going to make you invulnerable, but not all the time you will have 1400 rumbles, and as I said, at level cap it's really harder and require more attention, so you will not have that amazing augment all the time, 2 times, whatever, so you can't rely on that only. So casting speed is very, very critical here, as you want to keep spamming the first ability, pop, and so all the time you are invulnerable. So if you want to run 2 casting speed, good. Tau Forged, you'll be good to go. Or you can run 1 Tau Forged casting speed, and then you run 1 speed drift, and you'll be good. There is no issue on that. You'll be good. You'll move faster, you cast faster, and that's good. Don't talk about natural talent. You don't want to waste one mod slot because this guy is very critical when it comes to mod slots. Honestly, until DE wake up maybe in 2046 and give Warframes a slot for augments. Like during a build, for example, around this area right here, it's empty. They can give 2 slots for augments or something like that. So they free up more space here for frames to use and improve the builds. So now 1 Tau Forged with mod or 2 Tau Forged and you'll be good to go. Now, when it comes to the purple ones, of course you want it to be Tau Forged. Now, 25% melee critical damage when max energy is 500, and of course we're gonna get it to 500 in a second. The damage boost is doubled. Really amazing because his land face prime that procced by landslide, which is his exalted weapon, is a melee weapon actually, and so it's affected by melee critical damage. Now, in theory, what you want is 5 Tau Forged melee critical damage. Tau Forged Violet, 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 and mamma mia, you have a lot of critical chance, but that's not really reliable, but yet very powerful. You can go for that path, there is nothing wrong with that. It's just you twisting this build to your own style, because I'm here to deliver builds not that just work for me, to make sure that everyone can copy it and it works and it scales, because I'm a content creator. I'm not just making builds for myself. If I'm making builds for myself, why the hell I'm sharing this with you? You understand? I need to think about everybody at the same time, and I try to do my best. I never claim that I'm the best. So here is the thing here, but I'm very, very, very ambitious, Tano, and I want to leave my stamp on this community. So the next Archon shards are 2 Emerald Archon shards. Now these are optional. You don't have to use them. Now the reason I'm using them, because I'm using a weapons. For example, you can use Sedo, really amazing armor strip. You can use, for example, Compressor. You can use Epitaph. You can use Catabolism. I don't care. You can use Nuker. I don't care what weapon you want to use. My favorite, Sedo. My favorite, Sedo, Nuker, Compressor, and Epitaph. These are my four weapons for priming. I really like a lot. Compressor is really good because it procs viral and corrosive at the same time, and the bubbles go like and you're pretty much strip them and proc viral on them, and it's really good. So these are optional only if you want to armor strip with your weapons. If you have a helmet ability, let's for example say Pillage or Terrify, or you're using your Nairo Fox School second ability on Operator, then you can get rid of these. You don't need them at all. And you can replace them with what? With Violet Archon shards, and then you can increase your critical damage and you'll be good to go. And I hope this explained the Archon shards and what you want to use. Now, of course, you can get rid of all this and you can go with full strength Tau Forged, but still, as I said, it's not reliable. It's not something you can rely on. It will look amazing, yes. You will deal a lot of damage, yes, but not something really will scale with you. And yes, now, a lot of Thanos would say 1 Tau Forged Emerald Archon shard will be enough. Yes, but I like to armor strip enemies 100%. And for the new Thanos that have no clue what we're talking about here, now, Corrosive in Warframe, how it works. Now, 10 stacks of Corrosive by default will armor strip enemies by 80%. The first stack will reduce enemies' armor by 26%, and every stack after will reduce enemies' armor by 6% until you reach 80%. With the 2 Emerald Archon shards, we push the stacks of Corrosive from 10 to 14, so for 104% armor strip, enemies' HP turn into red. Now, when you run 1 Tau Forged, enemies' stripping will be at 98%. So, you decide which path you want to go for. It's up to you. I just gave you all the options. And we'll start the builds with Landslide, as the build will remain the same, and then we will change Atlas build one by one, and then we'll talk about the priming and the companion and so on. So, Landslide in here, condition overload, more status on the enemies, more damage you'll be dealing, and that's where priming comes in. Prime the pressure point to increase the base stats of the Landslide. Galvanized Steel, not for the critical chance, but critical chance of course is there, but for the critical damage. Organ Shatter for critical damage, Primed Fever Strike for flat toxin, and because it has primed version, we're using this one. Blood Rush for critical chance stacks with combo multiplier to increase the critical chance tier. Primed Smite Grunir is multiplicative damage against the faction you're fighting, and you want to replace it every time you're fighting a different faction. It's frustrating, but it's good. And if you don't like to do that, all you have to do is use Gladiator Might in here, or you can use the weeping wounds, and that's a decision you make for yourself. Voltaic Strike for electricity and statue chance to reach the 24%, and we have Corrosive. We'll be running melee exposure to gain 50% corrosive damage on melee strikes for 25 seconds, stacks up to 140%. Now I know you think like, let's proc viral in here and corrosive in here and all that can, but no. We have corrosive in here, and then the corrosive percentage adds to the damage itself, and it's really powerful the way it is. Now of course you can remove this one and you can use influence, and you can remove the primitive strike from here and you will have electricity, but then I felt it's not really that powerful, honestly. It's true, it can clear and everything, but I didn't like it. But of course, as always say, experiment things for yourself and you'll be good to go. Now for example, the other arcanes I didn't feel they're really worth mentioning or any of that. To change this build from corrosive to viral, it's really easy. All you have to do is use vicious frost instead of voltaic strike, and the build transforms to that. Easy as that. But in general, you will not be able to proc 14 stacks of corrosive because the status of this guy is really bad. As you can see, 7.4% impact and corrosive 16.6. And it's not really that crazy. We're just trying to increase the damage, and that's pretty much it, with some status of course, because you want to proc some status. So that's the build for the landslide. For the companion, I'll be using Nautilus Prime and Cordon to pull enemies, Vacuum to pull the loot, Assault to attack, Guardian boost owner shield by 100% when it runs out, because we'll be running 1150% shields, and I'll explain shield gating in a second. Manifold for more Cordon, and then shield, Tenacious Bond for critical damage if your sentient weapon has 50% plus critical chance. Shield charger, increase Warframe max shield and shield regeneration by 60% for 10 seconds. Reinforced bond for fire rate on your weapons, and primary regen, sentient recovery time reduced by 35%, revives with 10 seconds of invulnerability. The weapon we're using is Veriglass Prime, is the best sentient weapon, but it requires a Riven to reach the 50% plus for the critical damage from Tenacious Bond. Otherwise, use Prime Laser Rifle, Volclock, or Burst Laser Prime, and you'll be good to go. Now for priming weapons, we go for Sedu Prime. Sedu Prime, this is the build I'm using with primary dexterity for combo duration, because on Cascade I don't really go for Naramon, but in survival or any other mission I would go for Naramon. There is no issue on there. Now the build is viral pretty much, but technically to change this is really easy. All you have is replace Shell Shock with Shielding, right like so. There you go Corrosive, and there you go Viral, and you'll be good to go. That's pretty much it. Depends on what path you're taking, and you're good. Now when it comes to secondary weapons for priming, I'll show you Epitaph for example. This is the build proc baby I have here for viral, and of course you can switch it to corrosive like so. Boom, and corrosive and heat, and then you got viral and heat, and then secondary encumber for more stats, and you'll be good to go. Or you can use the compressor right here. It's really amazing, really awesome, and you will love it. As you can see, for example, I'm using the Innervate here, has corrosive and viral at the same time. Of course you can go for example with encumber with corrosive and magnetic and viral. Magnetic is really good because it will increase damage to shield on corpus enemies, and it will increase damage to overguard on Eximus units. Mamma mia. Oh, magnetic is really amazing and powerful right now. Okay, so let's put for example back Epitaph or whatever. It doesn't really matter in here, and that's pretty much it. Now for Atlas, the first build, I will tell you pros and cons. Now first thing first, we're using brief respite because we'll be using shield gating, and if you don't know shield gating, you are in the right place, because every video almost I explain this. Now Warframe, not like any other game, if you receive a fatal blow, you don't die. What you happen is you lose your shield, and when you lose your shield, you enter the gate right there, the yellow, the gate phase. And during the gate phase, you are invulnerable, means you don't die, you can't die. Okay, and that phase is not forever. You're not gonna be unkillable forever. What happens is you'll be invulnerable for a certain duration. That duration is affected by the shield amount. For 1150 shield, which is the cap, equal to 2.5 seconds. And when I mean cap, is the cap of the invulnerability, not the cap of shields. Shields can go forever, but the cap 1150 shields equal to the cap of 2.5 seconds invulnerability. Except Hildrin, his passive, he can go to 3.5 seconds with his teammates. Simple as that. Now what happens if you lose the gate and you become vulnerable and you didn't return any shields? you get a blow to your HP, and then you dead. Simple as that. So what is shield gating? Simply, every time you reach the gate, you return your shield. And that's exactly what shield gating is. Gate, shield, gate, you know what I'm saying? Playing around that. And for that, you will need something to give you the shields every time you lose them. So for example, if you're using a helmet ability like Pillage, or using helmet ability like Condemn, or you're using mods like Brief Respite. Now what Brief Respite does? The abilities consume energy. And Brief Respite, what it does is the energy you use for abilities, its portion of it, or a percentage of it, converted to shields. So every time you lose your shield, you use any of your abilities, you want to use the fastest one, because you want to very fast to return your shield, boom, you get back your shield. So technically, as long you're casting your abilities, enemies can't kill you, because they can't pass the gate because you're shielding. That's pretty much it, and that's why Brief Respite is used right here. Now, why Brief Respite? Since the first ability makes us invulnerable, simply, the first ability uses energy and makes you invulnerable. So, when you lose your shield, what happens is, you use the first ability, you are invulnerable, you kill that guy who make you lose your shield, and at the same time, you return your shield. So you return your shield, you become invulnerable, and you kill that guy. So by spamming the first ability, constant shield, and constant invulnerability. That's pretty much it. Power Drift for ability strength and resist knockdown. Stretch, resist knockdown is nice because when you're jumping or moving around, because when you move from tile set to another, you can't pretty much camp with Atlas. Atlas is not for camping, okay? Unless, I don't know, you're using weapons or whatever, but it's not for camping. So you'll be moving from area to area, and sometimes you bullet jump, and there is that heat bombarders, whatever, and you're jumping, and then boom, they use the heat blow, and they knock you down. You don't want that, okay? So this is 30% resistant knockdown is good. If you're feeling uncomfortable, there is nothing wrong with using premature footed or the hand spring in there. It's called hand spring, right? I didn't make it. Okay, here we go. What is it? Handspring. Okay, I just mentioned it. Okay, stretch for ability range for the first ability, and that's what we want, and for petrify as well. So both of these works perfectly with the stretch, because I'm taking him to level cap without stretch, and I feel the range is not that good, because I felt like uncomfortable and enemies is not like getting mostly petrified, especially in the area where I want to dominate and be in control. Primed Flow is a must in here, as you want that 755 energy, and you want the purple shards to be working, and you need the energy, because you'll be spamming. Rubble Heap is the augment we'll be using. It's optional. If you're going for end game, it's optional, really. The times I spent with 1400 rubbles at level cap, pretty much 30% of the time. I'm honest with you guys. Honestly, it requires attention. It distracts you from taking care of what's important, which is killing enemies. So this one is optional, and you can replace it with more strength, or more range, or more efficiency, or more duration. That's totally up to you. But for low to mid game, it's perfect, because you're killing a lot of enemies, a lot of rubbles on the ground. You're good. Equilibrium. Now, the question here, why using Equilibrium High? Because again, at level cap, enemies drop less health and less energy, less everything. And I noticed this is update 1999. Equilibrium, I felt, is a key for this guy to sustain his first ability, spam, to stay alive. Rolling Guard for bad situations, and trust me, you will face bad situations. There are fires, Thraxis, Magnetic Proc, Toxin. There is a lot of things that will mess you up. Redirection for the 2.5 seconds, right there. And Primed Continuity for duration, of course. Transfortitude for ability strength and minus ability duration, fixed by continuity, so these guys complete each other's. And Arcane Energize for energy. Arcane Aegis for 30%. Shield Recharge for 12 seconds. This, when it procs, it pretty much keeps you alive. Of course, we're not running a full shield recharging tank in here, thanks to the first ability. Landslide makes you invulnerable, and thanks to shield gating. So this build is about max shield gate duration, redirection, Aegis. So it's like half shield recharging build with Brief Respite to shield gate, and with the landslide to become invulnerable. So it's like a combination of powerful things for you to stay alive. But if landslide wasn't making you invulnerable, I will go for full shield recharge, and that's how the path I go for. Now, this build is with Wrathful Advance. Now, Wrathful Advance will give you 170% critical chance, and this is enough to actually do red crits. And that's all you need pretty much. And of course, you can push the strength way higher by just like trans fortitude. Boom, there you go, 214, and this becomes 213, easy. But this efficiency, I can't trust it, really, guys. I cannot trust it. But if you're going to low mid game, yes, you can run blind rage in there. You can run, for example, instead of equilibrium, you can run transit fortitude in here, and you'll be good to go. But this is the optimal build that I believe that you should go for. And so let's test it. We'll go like so. And I think I'm using the wrong, let's say here, is it Orokin? So in case you don't know, Orokin is the corrupted gunners. Go, level 230 heavy corrupted gunners. Boom. And the way to do this is really simple. You want to petrify enemies with a third ability, like so. And then you want to use Wrathful Advance, like so. Don't use it on enemies. Don't do it, because he got stuck in there, and I got bugged twice on Thrax, and there is a bug with Wrathful Advance and Thraxes. So, and then what you want to do, use the fourth ability to summon these guys. They're nice, distracting enemies here and there, but whatever. And then, go. Now we're not going to be using any priming yet. As you can see, the combo is slowly decaying thanks to dexterity. There you go. So even without Wrathful Advance, you'll be doing orange crits, and so you know. And we're gonna talk about that when we reach the other builds. Go. Petrifying enemies, and that's pretty much what you're gonna be doing. Now that, as you can see, 9 million and whatever. Now for example with Sedo, if we prime them like so, prime them again. There you go. Boom. You pretty much one-shotted them right there. And so what you're gonna be doing is just like priming, so priming, shooting, priming, shooting, and you'll be hitting millions of damage. Now, if you plan to do that at low to mid game, of course you can take down Brief Respite, and you can use, for example, instead Holster Amp right here, or you can use the melee damage, for example, not really steel charge right here. You can use that, or you can use Holster Amp, because you'll be using your priming weapon, and then you'll be using the for example your landslide. So it's like pretty much you're changing, or you can use even vigorous swap if you want to. Epitaph works pretty much the same. Let me show you Compressor, how it works with this guy. Look at this. Go right here, and then we use Compressor. As you can see, Compressor has like the ticks. There you go. Compressor has like the ticks, and you can see this guy armor strip, this guy armor strip. Look at that. So this guy have a viral, and this is why it's really amazing Compressor for priming, especially on frames like this guy. And then you just can go and take them down like so. One more time, Compressor. Boom. So you throw the bubbles, and then you just like boom, 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 and take them down. Make sure to petrify them. As you can see, even on Simulacrum, we can see if you forget to petrify, like the stuff is not working much, let alone at level cap. Now let's move to the next build. Now the next build is pretty much the same, but what we did, we changed the Helmith ability to Nourish. Now Nourish, as you know, will give you more energy, and it will give you more viral on your attacks, and if enemies attack you, they will receive viral as well, and some sort of CC style, and this is the build pretty much is the same, okay? But the thing is, with Nourish, you can cast really fast. Look at that. So the shield gating mechanics works so good with this, and you got the viral extra, and it's really perfect, and it's very amazing. And the fact that it gives you the energy boosts, it's just amazing. But there you go, you'll be doing yellow crits until you get more combo multiplier for Blood Rush to work. Go. Orange crits right there, 3 million, whatever. Get to 12 combo multipliers. Thanks to dexterity again. Managing, here you go. Red crits here and there, and you're pretty much good. And so you got some orange, and you got some red. There you go, 13 million. There you go, 13 million, 480,000. Compressor right here, 30 million right there, and so on. Now, the most amazing thing about Nourish, fast shield gating mechanic, because it has a very high casting. Also the viral, also the energy, and pretty much with this combo right here, you will never lose energy. You got Arcane Energize, you got Equilibrium, you got Nourish. if you lose energy with this build, you're pretty much. But this is mid to end, means very amazing and comfortable in mid game, and very amazing and comfortable at end game. This one with Wrathful Advance, I set it for low to mid. Even I level capped with this one, but it's very stressful style gameplay, and it's not for everybody. This one, everyone will be able to do. And now, this may surprise a lot, Dispensary is the most comfortable build to use at level cap. I know. Now, this one is very comfortable as well, but this one is the most. Now, what happened is, you don't need enemies to give you energy or whatever. And Dispensary will give you energy and ammo and health and whatever you want. And the fact that you will have it on, you will not need anybody. So you are your own boss out there. So even enemies like doesn't drop shit, you're good to go. And the whole idea about this is simply casting Dispensary and spamming the first ability. That's all what this is about. This is all what this is about. Cast Dispensary and take down those guys. And Dispensary casts very fast. As you can see, 5 million. The thing is, it's not about pushing as much damage. You don't need a lot. There you go, 5 million. Red crits already, and with Dispensary. The point is, you don't need billions of damage. All you need is technically killing the enemies, get the job done, don't stress yourself, enjoy the session, and that's it. Okay, and as you can see, we're full in energy. We don't care about enemies dropping energy or not. We are the bosses here. Let's go to Dispensary. There you go, 11 million, and that will kill anything, especially with a full DVS. Now, as I said earlier, I know a lot of Thanos would like this build Wrathful Advance with just full, let's say, strength, full Viola Tarkon Shard. That's amazing and powerful, but just use it for the low to mid game, because at the end game, it will be very stressful. Now, for starters, we have to take care of them as well. What I did here for you, Brief Respite, pretty much is the same stuff, but in normal versions. Arcane Energize and Maxed, and Arcane Fury right here, and so to show you the performance right about here on Atlas. Go, and boom. Same thing. Now, pretty much on our build, we have just primed pressure point. If you want, I can just take it off for the starters, because a lot of Thanos will not have access to this stuff right here. For example, the primed versions. But if you wondering where to get them, Baruketeer comes every 2 weeks. You need ducats. You crush your prime trash parts on any kiosk, any relay, and when he comes, brings the mods you want, you can just go for it. So I'll just duplicate it on B. Right here, boom, and then we create a build for the Thanos that's starting out. Okay, say Smite Hurricane will place it in here, and then Pressure Point will place it in here. But technically, what you want to do as a starter, you want to use the Sacrificial Pressure, and then in here you want to use the Sacrificial Steel. So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna remove this one from here, and you're gonna be using the Sacrificial Pressure in here instead. Let me remove this one like so. And then put Toxin, Fever Strike. We cannot use that, but can. But let's say I cannot use it. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know the point. You figure the point now. This is like so. Petrify, and then there you go. So this is the point. So this is level 230. Heavy Corrupted Gunners Steel Path Edition with a starter build. You're already doing red crits. And now if we include the priming and armor stripping, and nobody does this for you guys, I mean, just like, I'm giving you everything. Look at that, 25 million with a starting build, guys. 25 million, no helmet ability, no shit. Okay, and say Papa Hank doesn't love beginners, yeah, and all his builds is for end gamers. There you go, bro, there you go. 9 million. I mean, if I'm just starting out on Warframe and I do this damage, I mean, I'd be so happy, honestly. Look at that. Boom. 40 million. 40 million. We didn't actually do it on the... We didn't get that 40 million on the other endgame builds, honestly. I'm jealous now. Look at that. Look at that. Lovely, right? And this is starting builds. And from this point on, you expand, you test, and you check what works best for you. And I know this video is a bit long, but I wanted to go into more in-depth educative style to check if you guys like this style, or I should try to reduce this to minimum, as not everyone will watch all this. But if you made it this far, you're a legend and you want to learn. In the end, I would give Atlas Prime 8 out of 10, amazing Warframe, and I recommend it 100% for like new players or veterans alike. Also, the Exalted weapon rework is like the cherry on top on this guy. Perfect, just perfect. Also, I have a couple of suggestions for the developers. One, when they release Prime Warframe, we just don't want it to look just like a Prime. We want actually to get an enhancement of the abilities and to get enhancement of the strength, range, duration, and whatever, so we can feel there is a leap from the normal to the Prime. Also, I want to suggest that we have a specific or a special mod slot for the augments in Warframes and weapons, so like we feel comfortable using those augments without like compromising the build and the style. Because this video is very long, what I did is I created a giveaway during this video, 500 platinum for the first 10 that figure out the numbers in the sequence during this video. So what I did is I hid numbers during this video. If you write them in the correct sequence in the comment section below and your in-game name, you win 500 platinum. The first comment wins. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being part of this community. And I always try to improve and I try to do my best to deliver builds that works. And remember, level cap is not a show off. And remember to criticize in a constructive way. Now, join my Discord, link in the description. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on TikTok. Thank you so much. And special thanks to Hall of Members, especially VIPs and disputed donators and the Hall of Donations and everyone in my community. You guys are amazing. I'll see you next time.